BP, it's great to see the sun in Hamilton.
Yeah, very good morning to you, Jason. Yeah, certainly all in readiness for a terrific day of racing here out of Te Rapa. And look, I must say, arriving on course now, you've just got that buzz and feeling about it. Of course, it is a day that the locals love to come and support their Waikato Cup race meeting. And they've got the day. Thunderstorms last night. It was very thundery all night, and obviously some of that rain even hit around Alexandra Park. But that's just taken the fire out of the track, and we'll get the update very shortly around track conditions. But good betting races. Could be a day for those favoured runners. There's a number of races where you can sort of pick the bones out of it and suggest maybe going light through some races. Does that mean the pick 6 becomes an option, even though it's only worth $25,000? And there is that early quaddie, which will start on race number 2, Jason, which will be given a boost, as we've seen through the month of December, with $20,000 going into the bin starting on race 2. That might mean that quaddie could be worth playing into.
Yeah, certainly those bonus quaddies and the injections are building some very, very good pools. But you spoke about track conditions, Brendan. Those will be all important, how that Te Rapa track plays today.
Yes, it will be, Jason. And not too long ago, Aidan Rodley, he was out on the track with General Manager Ken Rutherford.
Thanks, Brendan. Came out here with Chief Executive Ken Rutherford, and not just Chief Executive today, track manager. What? You're telling me plumber as well?
Yeah, plumber as well. There's a few toilets just down the road. They haven't been used for a while. Probably since this time last year, actually, Aidan. So I'm a plumber's son, though. I'm a plumber's son, so I pack away all my tool bag. No, but it's one of those days where it's all hands to the wheel, so to speak, and just try and get through it as best we can and put on a great show for anyone who's come along today.
Yeah, we come in, the car park's packed, we've got marquees everywhere. How many pre-sold tickets have you got for today?
Well, looks late 3,000s, 4,000 pre-sold. Obviously, expecting this great weather here to get a good walk-up crowd as well for the GA. The GA crowd are all down the home straight there by about the 300-metre mark. The youngsters, Aidan, you and I, the 18s to 25s, we're at the Elder Gates down the road. There's all sorts of bands playing down there, and that'll be going for a little while afterwards as well. It's next door to a retirement village now, mind you, so I apologise now if you're in the retirement village. But no, good day. We've had a really good reaction from the people of the Waikato in terms of Cup Day.
Couldn't believe how well this track's come up, but a dead 5 after the torrential rain we had last night.
I wouldn't be surprised if it gets upgraded to a dead 4. I don't want to put words into the stipendiary stewards' mouths, but look, we were flummoxed by the forecast all week and didn't really know what to do in terms of irrigation because, as you'll be aware, being a Waikato lad, it was forecast thunder showers all week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, right up till today. So we got nothing, not even a drop till Thursday, got a little drop. And then last night it absolutely hosed down from about 5 o'clock till about 6 o'clock. 11 mils all told the last 12 hours, which makes it a dead 5, but I think it'll be racing a bit better than that.
Okay, yeah, obviously the fields have come up maybe a little bit slot on numbers, but real quality and depth, and especially in those features.
Yeah, real good call. You've summed up spot on there, Aidan. Numbers-wise, you've got 9s and 10s in most of the races, the odd 11 and 12. The Cup field, it's hard to look at the handicappers going around over a mile and a half and pick another one that's not there. So you pretty much got the ones that are there. The sprint race, I think, is the best race in the card. The J Swap Sprint, that looks a real good field, and obviously the Fillies and Mares race. Without Baker Forsman, we may not have much of a race, but certainly the quality is there.
Yeah, they had the trifecta last year. I think they're looking for their 3rd or 4th win in the race. You got a tip for us? I think you got a bit of a tip sheet floating around the track as well.
Yeah, I made those up. No, I do like Magnum. I do like Magnum in race 8. I looked at its trial. I think it trialled a Matter a couple of weeks ago. Jason Waddell takes the ride. Yep. Gee whiz, how good was he at trackside the other day at the Twilight meeting at Auckland?
We've got to keep him riding, I've got to tell you.
Yeah, there won't be a job in here, Aidan. If they're right, well spotted. But I do like Magnum. I thought 550 is probably quite good money.
This is the first time this race has run at Group 3, is that right?
I think it's the second time. I think it was upgraded 2 years back. I stand to be corrected. No, I'm pretty sure it is because we had to ask our sponsors for a little bit more money because it got upgraded. So it's Group 3, and obviously with the railway handicap and in a couple of weeks' time, it's a nice lead up.
Okay, best of luck for a great day, and congrats on the way that this track's been turned out, Ken.
Thanks, Aidan.
Jack of all trades, one Ken Rutherford, and as we know, with him being a former Black Caps captain, he is a man for the job. Certainly to look after all angles covered here out of Te Rapa Racecourse this afternoon, Jason.
OK, we'll crack into the preview, race number 1. And this is how things stack up for the Dunstan Feeds Premier. 270 Fiscal Fantasy. Stephen Hunt, is it opened a little bit longer than this Fiscal Fantasy? Has there been a good stream of money for Aidan Rodley's best bet?
Yeah, absolutely the best lead in this particular race. A lot of these runners stepping up over a staying trip for the very first time. Physical Fantasy, they've wanted to collect out of this 4-year-old mare this campaign. Finally, she draws a gate to play with Jason Waddell. She just profiles as a great betting option here. Physical Fantasy, $2.70 off a peak of $2.80. Elvin's Dream, Glendale, both $6 each of 2. There's some support there. A little bit of speaking for Franklin, as we always touch on the Baker Fawson runners. There tends to be a little bit of speaking for those runners, and nothing to speak of in these horses at double-figure quotes. So clearly the best back runner, number 5, Physical Fantasy, $2.70 to kick off the day.
This is how the Form Pro map shapes up. Physical Fantasy draw on the inside. Look, you'd hope it wouldn't get too far back from that draw. Atomic Blast and Mr. Linsky, the horses that they've got going forward, and that looks pretty much as you'd expect here, Brendan.
Yeah, look, sort of chatting to Jason Waddell on Thursday night, he felt as though that he was certainly not going to get too far back from the barrier draw. He was going to take a nice position up against the rail, and gee, to be honest with you, Aidan, I don't want any sighters here today. I'm pretty keen to get going from ball 1 here around Physical Fantasy. Let's go back and have a look at this horse's run when last time to the races. Look, the form is just so good around this horse. So from the first up run when running second behind the Mitigator, the Rhinestone Cowboy effort, and then this effort when running third and behind Fancy Moore, who just got the Saloon run up against the rail and wins. But Physical Fantasy was having to clear traffic, and then once clearing that traffic was able to do a nice job out wide to finish into 3rd position. She just looks suited now and ready. Fourth run in over 2,100 metres. Yeah, I was happy to go shopping and place this in the basket this morning around Physical Fantasy. What are the dangers? Well, look, potentially Glendalough is a horse. I know it's always shown potential. Glendalough and is in single figures. If you wanted to give Franklin another chance, it was just probably too bad to be true last time to the races. Mr. Linsky can go forward in the race, has been running well over the 1,600 metre distances as well. But yeah, I was pretty keen to just kick things off here with Physical Fantasy, Jason.
Okay, race number 2, and this is how the market shapes up for the second on the program. It's the Wentwood Grange Premier. Mr. President and maybe a show-off, $3.60. Look, these 2-year-old races I find very difficult, Stephen Hunt, so I need you to tell me where the cash is going.
Yeah, I find them difficult to frame up too, to be honest, Jace, during the week. But look, we've got the race day form, and maybe a show-off at the top line of betting at $3.60. Shares that price with Mr. President. The best lead I can give you is number 5, Your Deal, at $6 off a peak of $6.50. Tiakau Juveniles, they've already had 2 or 3 winners this season in our younger races, and Your Deal, who's been hitting the line strong in its trials to date. Opie Boston does the riding here. Again, just a nice betting profile for punters. So that there currently is our biggest liability. And a little bit of specking, funny enough, for Flaunting, the stablemate of the current favourite, in maybe a show-off. Flaunting, $11 currently, a losing liability.
So 6 runners are first starters, so there is no speed map for it. Brendan, what can you tell us about your thoughts?
Look, I think Mr. President from barrier number 1, that's the first key to the race, isn't it? But what we saw from the trials, where the horse was able to take a forward position and really kick on strongly, and how this horse won at the trials, Mr. President. So I'm happy to be going that way. You've got the maybe a show-off form where the horse went forward and won here 2 starts ago, and you know, it's always hard to go past rock-solid race day form, and this horse has had 3 starts to the races and is back on the home track. So there's a pretty big respect around that. But this is the Mr. President trial when doing the business here and doing it nicely as well. I love the way that when asked a question, the son of Sepoy, he was able to get the job done and wins by a margin of a head when there was that late challenger in this particular trial. Bijou Lass is the other runner that we want to show you. This is a runner that was in front and was just nabbed late in this particular trial on the 27th of November and was beaten by a margin of a neck. Does have to contend with the outside barrier draw, does this particular runner for Baker Fawson, but there's market support around it. Interested to hear around that Your Deal speaking from the Tiakau barn, because I've been taken by the trials as well. I love the way it closed off for the most recent trial out of Matamata. Very wary of this horse in this market, and with that little move around it, I've got it amongst my numbers as well. I went with the 3 on top to continue on a very good run of form for David Archer and his team in Archer Equine Investments. So mark the 3 on top in Mr. President.
Thanks, Brendan. But watching Champagne Dancer very closely, she hasn't done much right in only one race, and also her trial she's missed away and all of that sort of stuff, but she showed a good spurt of speed in the midsection last time. Anyway, race number 3, this is the Low Sholem and Jones Premier, where Popstar Princess is 450, Kalani and Chicane are 5, lines on the 750. Slight adjustment I've noted in this market here, Stephen. Popstar Princess obviously outright favourite now. Is Kalani shortened and Chicane drifted?
Yeah, they've identified one particular runner here, Jason Kalani. Roger James first up. V. Colgan does the riding. Look, he's a little bit unsound. He has to be, being a 6-year-old for only the 10 starts. Only been unplaced twice. So he is a horse that likes to run in the money. $7.50 during the week. He was short of $6 this morning. He's now a $5 second favourite and could close favourite. This is a decent go on a horse that's resuming off a long break. So when money talks around this stable, we've got to take note here in Petone around Kalani. Popstar Princess $4.50. Big drop back in grade. Pace influence. Rock solid at $4.50. Chicane, big drifter here, $4.50 on opening, now a $5 chance. And outside those, there's a little bit of speccing around Emma Star at $8.50, could be the best of the Stephen Marsh team, but yeah, decent go here on Kalani, number 2.
Thought there might be a little bit of pace in this race. This is how the Form Pro map has things. With Merlini, Chicane, Akoya, Popstar Princess and Emma Star, I thought the primary speed coming from Merlini and Akoya, and just depends on whether the riders, Michael Coleman on Emma Star and also Lindsay Satherley on Popstar Princess, what they choose to do. How did you see things shaping up here, BP?
Yeah, I think there could be some early pyrotechnics in the race when you've got the likes of Akoya and also Merlini. But what we've seen from Popstar Princess, though, she is a horse who really does come rattling out of the barriers. And I'm with her. I'm a big fan of this horse, Popstar Princess, and she showed that she's not too far off some of our better sprinters with this effort in an open handicap sprint, which was won by Bostonian, who's got the eyes on the Group 1 sprints coming up. She leads them up here in this race, and she gives a pretty big sight. Now, finishing in a second position back in the field with Santa Monica, but I just love the way she's really willing here to fight on and finishes into 3rd position to get herself some black type. So she comes back from this to a rating 82. Does Popstar Princess. Form around it is very good. Of course, you've got the runner up closer to the rail next to her there, and Princess Kiridu, who won last week as well out of Alice. So the form is rock solid with that effort there from Popstar Princess. Here's Chicane. This horse won first up. Really see if there is tempo in the race, just to play right into this horse's hands, because she can take a spot just off the pressure, you would imagine, Chicane. She presented first time to the races out of Tauranga this campaign, and she was able to deliver and hold out the challenge from Bevan Street out wide. She's always been a horse that's been progressive, and now she's showing that, and she's looking to really try and work through the grades this campaign for Ross McCarroll and Chicane. And Kalani, look, I've got a big respect around Kalani. I love the way this horse worked home at the trials, Kalani. Of course, that was out of the Melody Bell trial. Eye-catching late in the piece, and I think with what the money is saying there, we have to be watching this horse very closely. As Stephen said, maybe potentially could be coming into favouritism with number 2 in Kalani. A horse who's always had a big rap on it. 10 starts for 4 wins as a 6-year-old. I'm going to go with Popstar Princess though here, Jason. I'm happy to be running with the form with what we've seen out of a stakes race last time to the races, back to a rating 82.
Good stuff. Thanks, Brendan. Race number 4, and the market for the Lodge Real Estate Premier at 1600 metre race. A couple of horses have come out. Bellacourt Kachi, also Capricosa wasn't out yesterday. Was expected to come out though because she's lining up in the Kalazuzu. 360 for Yorkshire Dales, and my gift there at 460, Stacey Ann at $5. Didn't find this a straightforward race either, Stephen. Is the money with Yorkshire Dales?
It is, Jace, but a very competitive race. 8 horses going around. Capricosa Bellacourt coming out this morning. 22% deduction. Take note, punters. Remaining Yorkshire Dales a $3.60 favourite, and looks set to start favourite with the multis running through this individual. My gift at $4.60 in that second line of betting. Solid, but there is a chance it could drift from what I'm seeing. A lot of specking around Stacey Ann, $5 off a peak of $7. And final suggestion up from Whangarei coming down to Te Rapa. Hasn't raced since the back end of October. Keep an eye on this. Lee Thinnis back to a mile, $7 off a double figure price, $11 during the week.
Real trick to this race is the speed in it. It looks very hard to predict. This is how Form Pro have it, and they've got Magic of the Sun with Final Suggestion going forward, so they're a lot more clear-cut than I was in my head. Magic of the Sun I thought would probably be the natural leader, and then I wasn't so sure about the others. Final Suggestion, Stacey Ann do show speed, so will Andrew Calder be positive from a wide draw? I think that would probably be beneficial for him. How did the form shake up for you here, Brendan?
Maybe Sassanov's Hero could play a part as well in going forward, Jason. We know when Taki Yanagita won on this horse 2 starts ago, that was the sort of position they found themselves sort of up on tempo as well, over 1,600 metres. So that horse could play a part getting down to 57 kilograms. Look, I really do like Yorkshire Dales though, Jason. I reckon this horse is making lovely progression so far. A former UK galloper, and this horse won nicely. Loves just that little fire out of the track, and of course with the rating here of a dead 5, it is a lovely warm day, and that's what happened last time to the race at Pukekohe Park. Presented on a slow 7 and was able to wear them down over 1,400 metres as well. This particular distance goes to 1,600 metres. A horse who's won at 1,600 metres has also won over 1,580 metres this campaign, and has won over 1,700 metres out of the UK. So this is the distance range that the horse performs nicely at, over the 1,600 metres. Should just shut off them, and if he can have that chance to be presented, and I'd imagine he's going to have every opportunity to do so, I was happy to be on him. I was happy to play $3.60. I think he's a mighty bet. I think he's in the right vein of form as well.
I'd like to get that lead. Cheers for that, Brendan. Let's look at the market for the following race, which is the 5th of Pathways, the Immigration Specialist Premier. The Good Fight's at $4.50, Red Cayenne's at $5, Prince Jabeel at $7. Look, does the Good Fight, Stephen, does this horse always attract money?
It has its previous 2, and definitely today as well, Jace. Look, they came out of trees to punt at last start. The Good Fight at Avondale didn't quite get up in time to beat Jimmy Rocket. I think what the punters are banking on here is the 2,400 metres, even though it's stepping up in grade. $4.50 you see they're trading on option 205. We've just accepted a $2,000 bet around about 5 minutes ago at that $4.50 quote. During the week we accepted a $6,000 bet on the Good Fight at an opening line of $4.80. Pretty happy to keep it at $4.50 at this stage. The fact that it's stepping up in grade, we feel that's a decent challenge, with a lot of these horses progressing as well over the 2,400 metres. A little bit of specking around Marcelina, which we touched on at the top of the show, with Andrew Forsman talking this individual up. $9.50, got as high as $11. But outside that, there's just been a nice spread of money around Red Cayenne, Princess Jabeel, Sarah Banday. But the decent go with those big 4-figure bets is on the favourite, the Good Fight.
It's good to get those thoughts from Andrew Forsman about Marcelina, for those that backed it last time with confidence, knowing that he expects her to bounce back today. Fictitious Beaujeu and Florence Ivy, the pace in the race. Again, this is a very hard race from a pace perspective. You wouldn't be surprised to see from an inside draw Marcelina to slide forward. Brendan, the Good Fight's out of Pravda, who gave one of the great statue impersonations, won Melbourne Cup Day all those years ago. What are you expecting from the horse today?
That's right. Yeah, whenever we see a horse do something similar, we say it's doing a Pravda, don't we? Yeah, look, this horse just looks primed and ready for 2,400 metres. Now, this was last time to the races when finishing into 2nd position, and yes, this could be a little bit of a difficult watch for those that did climb into the shorts around this horse when beaten by Jimmy Rocket. But what you can take out of that disappointment and think about today is that the horse has run really right through the line on this occasion to finish into 2nd position. Another key little factor, there's form from yesterday. The horse who finished into 3rd position is Express Call. Now, Express Call was really well found yesterday at Tauranga and was nicely ridden by Ryan Elliott to get the prize and hold on. So there's a bit of form out of that race from yesterday. I was happy to be with the horse as well at around $4.50. Other dangers in the race, I thought Fictitious maybe could be a little forgotten horse. Does bring strong CD form to the race, does run a number 8. But yeah, I'm with the Good Fight.
Yeah, I wondered about Fictitious getting that nice soft run and maybe an each-way bet, but the top pick there, the Good Fight for Brendan Popperwell. The Kalamazoo Group 2 for the fillies and mares, or mares as it is, in 2018 sees Lizzie Lamore love a fair sharing favouritism. Many changes here, Stephen, from when we spoke about this an hour ago?
overall a very solid mark, and it's been that way since betting commenced Wednesday afternoon, Jace. Lizzie Lamore, Love Affair, they match dollar for dollar, $2.60. If there's a slight lead, and I mean slight, Lizzie Lamore holds around about 360 multis, V Love Affair 220, but that could change throughout the afternoon. Nicoletta rock solid at 650. A little bit of specking around Beldenor, I should mention, a losing result. Maybe punters suggesting a bit of an improver second up. But Lizzie Lamore, Love Affair dominate early proceedings here in the feature.
This is a map that you'd think is straightforward, with Nicoletta leading and Capricosa finding that trailing position. The sense from Andrew Forsman is that Lizzie Lamore could be ridden more handy, and that Love Affair therefore could slot into the 1x1, and those other horses drawn wide, they're natural get-back horses. So, Brendan, the question is, who have you plumped for in the Group 2?
Yeah, look, I've thought about this race long and hard, Jason, about just how it can unfold. And look, in the end, I keep coming back to Lizzie Lamore. She's a horse that has won a Group 1, a Group 2 and a Group 3 at this venue. She won this race last year. She won the Waikato Cup 2 years ago, did Lizzie Lamore, and was down to really in the right spot 12 months ago. This is the race 12 months ago when Love Affair came into this as the favourite and was superb in what she did. I mean, from where she came from, to be able to peel off the sectional she did with what was happening up front, it was Outside Leader who won the race. She had Inside Horse and Stolen Darts, who then went on to win a Group 1 following. So on with Lizzie. I just feel as though she's the real rock solid sort of form lines around her. She loves winning here at this venue. Then you've got Nicoletta, as you said. Are we slightly forgetting about Nicoletta? Because if things do pan out nicely for her in front, she could be the horse that they're all still trying to chase down at the 250 metre mark and may not be getting past. But you've also, out of this race, if you're liking Nicoletta, you've got the Basu form, who's just jumped out of the clouds from nowhere at its last 2 starts, hasn't she? With where she was sort of 12 months ago, she was competing around on the West Coast circuit. She's come out and beaten a Group 1 winner in Volpe Veloce. There has got to be massive respect about how she's done this when winning Basu for now Nigel Tiley and Andrew Corder doing the riding. Look, I went with the one on top in Lizzie Lamore in front of Love Affair. I have big respect around how Nicoletta could play this race into her hands, and then that runner who flashed home there into winning that race, the Auckland Thoroughbred Breeders in Basu. I'm around 1, 2, 3 and 4 for the Kalo Zuzu Stakes.
Yeah, it's extraordinary. Basu running past Volpe Veloce, coming from behind her and beating her there at Pukekohe. Okay, the Group 3 Sky City Hamilton Waikato Cup is, I guess you'd say, the feature race on the day, even though it doesn't have as high a group status as the Kalo Zuzu, because it's the race that many patrons will have the most association with. Once or twice a year, racegoers, they're celebrating their Christmas parties and whatnot. Igrain's the 210 favourite, Mongolian Marshal $3.20. Again, Stephen Hunt, we've spoken about this market a little bit. Many changes?
Just money continues to flow for number 4, the 6-year-old mare, Igrain, $2.20 on opening. We accepted that $15,000 bet earlier this morning, Jace, which I mentioned at the top of the show. She's now a $2.10 chance in front of Mongolian Marshal at $3.20. If this money continues to flow for Igrain, Mongolian Marshal might even drift from a $3.20 quote just to try and balance this particular book. And there is a strong possibility Igrain could easily start in the red, maybe 190, 180 later on this afternoon, because there is no strong money for anything outside Igrain, including Mongolian Marshal.
Sounds like bookmakers are being rather stubborn there, Stephen, not wanting to move Mongolian Marshal. That seems like you're just going against the massive tide of money there.
Well, like Andrew mentioned, we're still not quite sure whether this horse will get 2,000 metres, and we just have to do a little bit of trust here in HQ. And a horse like 5 to Midnight at $7.50, he's got more chance of paying double figures from what I'm seeing, and the likes of Blue Breeze getting out to $10 with the flow of Igrain. So, yep, it's a race in 2 from what we're seeing, or from what we've priced, but in terms of punters, they believe it's a race in 1.
Okay, this is how the speed map looks, and his Cavalier looks like he'll go forward. 5 to Midnight and Mongolian Marshal are drawn to naturally take closer positions in the running. Maygrove hasn't shown a heck of a lot early, but we know that can wind into its race and could be a horse that sits forward. Igrain's shown enough tactical speed that Sam Collett might choose to push her forward as well. BP, your thoughts?
Yeah, look, I agree with you, Irene. I agree, and I think that she does have the ability and the potential to push forward and take a very handy position in the race as well, despite her drawing 9 of 9. I mean, look how hard she's going to be to beat in this race. Yeah, I think with Mongolian Marshall, he's ranged up here and he's had his shot, hasn't he? Now, you could put it down to the slow 7 racing surface for sure, but he has put his bib in front here at the top of the straight. And this is over 2,100 metres. Who was stronger on the line? Who was going through the line better out of the two runners? And of course, it is the winner of the race, Anaya Grain. She looks beautifully suited to go into this distance of 2,400 metres. Yep, Blue Breeze was nice from back in the field. That was the best of the rest and behind. Been able to make ground like the horse did. I would have that little question mark having its best form right-handed. It's had 3 starts left-handed. Still doesn't mean I haven't got it in the numbers, but just that little query around Blue Breeze. But he has finished off really well to finish into 3rd position. Then you've got a margin back to the next to the rest, and that being Kyria Layson, who finished into 4th position. Yeah, gee, I wouldn't be surprised if she gets into the red, Jason. She's going to be running through most of our multis for the day. Happy to try and snaffle up 210 if she's going to start tumbling into 190 zone. I think she's the winner of the race, and she is highly, highly talented stayer.
Second Group 3 on the card is for the sprinters. It's over 1,400 metres, the J-Swap Contractors Sprint, and Stratocasters 330, Magnum 5, Sultan of Swing 650 with Donna and Billy. Money here, Steve?
There's 2 horses I've targeted here. The top 2 I'm betting, Stratocaster on the back of a very good win from back of the field at HQ a couple of weeks ago. $3.80 we posted on Wednesday afternoon. We've accepted a $10,000 bet earlier this morning, Jace, at a $3.60 line on Stratocaster. He's now trading at 3.3 and looks set to start favourite in front of Magnum, who's been very well supported first up. Good trial going to this, a horse that likes to put himself in the race. Jason Waddell does the riding. $5.50 you could have got during the week. He's now trading at $5. So they're the 2 they're really targeting over the 1,400 metres. Also a little bit of speccing for Hugo Foscolo. If he was ever going to win a race, the punters believe it's at Te Rapa, where he is unbeaten, 3 from 3, $12 trading off a peak of 14, currently a losing result.
Really? Hugo Foscolo? Okay, that's your money. Speed map, this is how it shapes up for the race. Hugo Foscolo is one of about 5 runners that can contest things early. You've got Watch the Space, Save the Date and Sultan of Swing. I suppose there are a couple of eggs that are hanging above me, Brendan, that will fall on me and crack in my face if Hugo Foscolo win, but not for me.
Well, free beer all round. Yeah, look, I'm very surprised around that. If that is the case with the money around Hugo Foscolo, he just hasn't turned up, has he? In this campaign at all, has Hugo Foscolo. As we all know, his past form is terrific. He's got great past form. Look, Stratocaster, look, he was breathtaking with what he showed at Ellerslie, wasn't he? He was able to get back and he showed that turn of foot that we know he has got. We've seen it since a 3-year-old with Stratocaster, with the way he picked them up and put them down. I do like Magnum. Look, I'm with Magnum in the race. As Stephen pointed out, a little shift from $5.50 to $5. This horse was beaten in behind Tiakau Shark when last presented to the races. He's a horse with his New Zealand form. He's been a listed winner on a dead 5 surface out of Awapuni. As we know, he's been a big performer out of Singapore. He's nearly put in the bank $500,000. So I do like Magnum today in front of the 8. So I went 3, Magnum in front of 8, 9 and 5.
Okay, race number 9, the last there at Te Rapa, closing out the late quaddie, is the Team Whelan's Premier, where Belfacino is 4 from Honesty at $4.50, Giant Gem at 5 and Hinchin Power there at $7. Now, quick thoughts on the last here, Steve?
I've targeted one here in the middle market, Jason. Number 8, Baz de Soir. Look for a big improvement here. Second up for the Marsh team, Jason Waddell does the riding. I think this horse will relish the sting out of the track, the dead 5, if that can hold up at the back end of the program. $10 trading, quite a heavy liability on this individual with a $1,500 bet at 12s earlier this morning. Its peak price was $13. Belfacino at the top of the book, well supported here, $4, as is Honesty at $4.50. But nice little go here, number 8, Baz de Soir at a $10 price.
Quick look at the speed map before going to Brendan Popperwell and Showbird, the leader. Your picks for the 9th?
Yeah, tricky race this, eh? I think there's quite a few chances. Quaddies and pick 6. I think you're going to want to. I think you're going to need a few horses on your side. I was around 3, 5, 6, and 8 in the last race. Giant Gem very good last time. Belfacino was quite unlucky last time to the races. Can give Honesty a chance. Baz de Swire as well. So, yeah, a race I want a few on side heading into the last race. Strategy and best bet. I'm going to go with Yorkshire Dales as my best bet here this afternoon. Does line up in race number 4. The horse won over 1,400 metres last time, goes to 1,600 metres, has good record around that distance, close to that distance of win over 1,580 and also 1,700 metres. Right, Jason, look, I'm going to apply an approach of see ball, hit ball with my $100 spend and going to spend it on a box multi for $100 through these horses. Race 1, Fiscal Fantasy. Race 2, Popstar Princess. Race 4, I think Yorkshire Dales is in, isn't it? Race 4, Yorkshire Dales. Race 5, The Good Fight. Race 7, iGrain. And race 8 in Magnum. That'll be a max return of $23,000. But of course, with it being a box multi, the chance of playing in any 3, any 4, any 5, it's a day where I want to swing for the fences here this afternoon on Waikato Cup Day.